You know when the methods are called, so now I'll summarize what to do in each of those methods and recap everything we've learned thus far. The activity lifecycle is a bunch of different states that an activity goes through from creation to destruction. They are initialized, created, started, resumed, and destroyed. In addition, there are corresponding lifecycle methods which are called by the activity whenever it goes from one lifecycle state to another, as seen here. Each callback can be overridden to do either setup or cleanup of resources. OnCreate is for one-time initialization. OnDestroy is the mirrored method where you tear everything down. At this point, you know that the activity is unfortunately gone forever. Next are onStart and onStop. Remember, these methods indicate when your activity becomes visible and is in the foreground. That makes this part of the diagram here known as the visible lifecycle. When the activity is not visible, it's considered in the background. You can use onStart and onStop to start and stop anything that should run only when the activity is actually on screen. OnStop is also generally where you'll save data permanently, which you're going to learn about later. Then there's onPause and onResume. These methods indicate when your activity has focus, which means that it can actually be interacted with. It's worth noting another important aspect of onPause. Whatever code runs in onPause blocks other things from displaying, so it's important to keep the callback code lightweight. For example, if a phone call comes in, putting blocking code in onPause might actually delay the incoming phone call notification. Finally, there's onRestart. Now, onRestart is a lot like onCreate. Either onCreate or onRestart will be called before the activity becomes visible. OnCreate is called the first time, and then onRestart is called instead once the activity is already created. OnRestart exists as a place to put code that you only want to call if your activity is not being started for the first time. Let's explore a few practical examples for when you'd use these callbacks. If you remember way back from the start of the lesson, I talked about a situation where you have this expensive but really awesome physics simulation running on your phone. Depending on the behavior you want, you'd probably want to start or stop that simulation, either in onStart, onStop, or onPause and onResume. Now you'd choose onStart and onStop if you still want the physics simulation going, even if it's partially obscured and doesn't currently have focus. And then you'd use onPause and onResume if you want to stop it whenever it loses focus. Another example, let's say that you have a game and that game has background music. During the game, different characters talk to one another and dialogue windows pop up. If you wanted the background music to keep playing as the dialogue windows pop up, but not if you navigated away from the app, you'd start and stop the music in onStart and onStop, and you wouldn't do it in onPause and onResume.